This week's manner of death is homicide. Roxanne Zwiesler. Roxanne Weisler was a 39-year-old woman living in southwest Topeka in the summer of 1994. She was born on July 19, 1954, and was the fourth child of 7 siblings. She was fondly called Roxy or Foxy Roxy by family members. She was the only sibling to earn a college degree from Washburn University, where she earned a bachelor's in marketing. Her siblings described her as fashionable and ambitious. Her life would end tragically, and she would be found deceased in her apartment on June 14, 1994. Roxanne was last seen alive on June 13, 1994. She worked her shift at the Jones store and left around 8 p.m. She then went to a cookout with a friend and his 12-year-old daughter before returning to her apartment at 2541 Southwest Brandywine Lane. That night, she was shot and killed. A neighbor reported hearing some kind of disturbance that night. The next day at 5 p.m., one of Roxanne's sisters went to check on her as she had missed a coffee appointment with a friend. When she arrived, she noticed the door was not latched and easily pushed it open. In the bedroom, Roxanne was found nude with a gunshot wound to her head. Police found a slit in the screen of a front window, but found the theory of an intruder unlikely, as the slit had been made from the inside, as if her killer wanted to make it appear like an intruder scenario. Most likely, her killer was someone she knew. Nothing was taken from her apartment, so robbery was also not a motive. There have been several suspects, but no arrests in Roxanne Weisler's case. If you have any information that could help her case, please contact Crime Stoppers at 785-234-0007. Daphne Rhodes. Daphne Rhodes was a 26-year-old New York socialite transplant to Topeka, Kansas. She was the daughter of a wealthy New York industrialist and had been recently divorced. She came to the region to receive outpatient treatment at the famous Menninger Psychiatric Hospital. Daphne lived alone at her apartment at 3725 Southwest 29th. On June 2, 1962, the last night she was seen alive, she went to a party and created a scene, according to the Topeka police. She left this gathering at 12:45 a.m. and apparently went to a McDonald's restaurant before returning to her apartment. She was found in her apartment, raped and strangled. Police state that even though there was no signs of forced entry, she did struggle with her killer. Because there was no forced entry, this might be an indication that her attacker was someone she knew. It's been 60 years since Daphne Rhodes' murder, and her killer has yet to be found. If you have any information that could help solve her case, please contact Crime Stoppers at 785-234-0001. Sorry, editing me. I accidentally misspoke on that phone number. It is 785-234-0007. The Quadruple Homicide of Tamesha Lee, Eric Christopher Avery, Marvin Woods, and Carla Avery. On December 2, 2013, at 4 p.m., a couple of young teenagers were skateboarding when they stumbled upon a gruesome scene behind a mall in the 1300 block of Southwest 21st Street. 45-year-old Carla Avery lay on the ground critically injured from a gunshot wound to the head that would take her life days later in the hospital. Her parked car was nearby, parked in a car wash. Upon identifying her, the police sent additional men out to her home, which was located on the 1600 block of Southwest Central Park in Topeka, Kansas. Once inside her house, they discovered 3 more victims. 56-year-old Marvin Woods, who was Carla's ex-husband, 34-year-old Tamesha Lee, a friend, and 43-year-old Eric Avery, Carla's brother. 3 days after the killings, 2 men were apprehended for burglarizing that same home. However, the police found they were not connected to the incident. Police believe the shooting was a targeted attack and that the perpetrator or perpetrators are from or reside in the Topeka area. Many family members and friends of the victims have spoken out and have pleaded with people to come forward about if they have any information on this case. This case is also featured in the Kansas Cold Case deck as the Ace of Diamonds. If you have any information that could help solve the case of Carla Avery, Marvin Woods, Tamesha Lee, and Eric Avery, please reach out to Crime Stoppers at 785-234-0007. Crystal Andrews and Mercedes Halford. 13-year-old Mercedes Halford and her 37-year-old mom, Crystal Andrews, lived in Topeka, Kansas in 2020. Mercedes is described as someone who was full of life and liked to joke. Crystal was described as someone who loved being with her family. Mercedes was the youngest of her children. They were at their home at 512 Southwest 5th Street on the night of July 14, 2020. At 2 a.m. that night, they were found shot to death inside their home. While there have not been any arrests in their case, Crime Stoppers released a video of a person of interest. The video is from a security camera and it captures a figure walking in front of a garage at night in the vicinity of the scene. The individual has not been identified. Since their deaths, Mercedes and Crystal's case has remained unsolved. If you have any information that could help their case, please call the Crime Stoppers tip line at 785-234-0007. Tyrell Aquabock. Tyrell Aquabock was an 18-year-old girl living in Topeka, Kansas in 1976. She was a freshman student at Washburn University. She was an animal lover and an artist. On the morning of April 26, 1976, Tyrell went on a walk to a veterinary hospital where she worked. She had planned on returning a puppy and had set off around 7 a.m. At 2 p.m., her body was found off a dirt road close to Southwest 2nd and Urish Road. She had been beaten to death by nearby tree branches and was partially undressed. She also suffered puncture wounds from a type of tool, although the specific tool has not been revealed. The puppy she had been returning was found nearby unharmed. Since then, Tyrell Ocobock's case remains unsolved. Her case was considered cold, but was recently reopened and even features in the Kansas Cold Case deck as the Queen of Diamonds. If you have any information that could help solve her case, please contact Crime Stoppers at 785-234-0007 or the Kansas Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-KS-CRIME. Hey everyone, Manner of Death here. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I really do appreciate all the support that you give me, and thank you for all the case recommendations I have received. Please feel free to go ahead and leave a comment if you have any other cases you would like me to look into, whether that be groups of people, missing people, or specific cases to your areas that you would like to see have more coverage. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.